by the names of Nancy Apio, who happens to be the gender reproductive from Health Uganda. And today we're looking at supporting formerly abducted women and children. Nancy, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm okay.
How are you doing at Health Uganda?
We are okay, and our focus on today's discussion is basically on how social protection systems can support reproductive health rights of women and girls of all categories, including marginalized women, war-affected women, and so relating it into this year's theme of the International Women's Day on how public and private interventions that can address vulnerabilities and risks that expose people to income insecurity and social deprivation. And so social protection systems, in a way, are very important when it comes to reproductive health issues of women and girls.
Okay, why do you particularly go into reproductive health?
So first of all, because reproductive health, when you talk about health, it's a very important aspect of our health. It's a fundamental and basic human rights issue. Every human being should be able to be in a good state of reproduction and their sex life. Everybody should be able to decide when to reproduce or even not to. People should have a safe and satisfying reproductive and sex life. And so it's a fundamental human right. It's a basic human right, and it's integral into our lives. And it's an important issue that needs to be addressed through our social protection systems, and especially when you talk about public services like health, because women should be supported to be able to decide, for example, on the number of children that one should have, and they should be able to be protected, because as we speak right now in our country, for example, from the most current statistics, we would see that our fertility rate is kind of high. We have probably four out of 10 children are unplanned. We have quite over 1 million people living with HIV and AIDS, and some of those are already young people. And so it's very important for us to address the issue of reproductive health in this country.
In your speech, I hear of how and what should happen. What are your biggest challenges?
So some of the major challenges, for example, if related to the social protection systems, is that many women, for example, are in the informal sector. They're employed in the informal sector, where you see that there is really not much in regard to any form of social security. There is, when you talk about the humanitarian crises that are happening, where women are part of the refugee crisis that we are having here in the country, you'll note that many of the women are facing the brunt of the humanitarian crises, and so they need to be supported in terms of their reproductive health, but also in terms of like services in our public health facilities. You'll find that we have quite a number of staff who are not skilled to handle people's reproductive health issues. Women have low income, whereby they are not able to access some of these facilities, maybe from a private entity, and so they are forced to go to get services in the public health facilities, which are far, maybe from the distance. They have to move long distances. Even when they reach there are no commodities and supplies that should help them. The skilled staff are not there. And so when we talk about issues like of maternal or paternal care, women are still carrying the burden and the brunt of having to take care of families and the little ones when they are born. And so we have issues that we need to address, but regardless of that, I think it's also important to say that as a country we still have a lot to celebrate and to achieve in regard to...
Talking about celebrations, where do you see that from all the work that you have done, from all the work that government is doing and other people are doing, do you think we are moving into that space where we can say that, well, we're doing good?
Yeah, as a country, I think we have a lot to celebrate. There are so many opportunities that we could utilize. For example, we have quite a number of good legal frameworks that, if implemented and put into good use, they can be very helpful. We have quite a lot of creative and innovative processes that have been placed, for example, the women's economic programs, the youth livelihood programs, all these opportunities in the country. And Uganda is a country that we have several affirmative actions. We have lots of steps that the country has taken towards promoting women's rights and women's empowerment and gender equality. And I should say that Uganda is a country that at least we have strived and we have done quite a good job when it comes to promoting women's rights and women's empowerment and gender equality.
Okay. Since our discussion today is on supporting formerly abducted women and children, first let's take a listen to some of those that have fallen victim of this, and then after that we'll continue with this discussion.
After reaching 13 years, they started contributing for me, a man who 38 years. Being a child is not easy to be with that man. I was feel annoyed because I don't know who is the man. But you start to force yourself to know how to sleep with the man. When they take me, that man called me inside her room. Because one commander have many women and he have only one heart for sleeping. He want to sleep with someone, he call one by one. If today he want to sleep with this wife over these children, he organize himself and go and call. So from that process, I fear to go. Then the big mothers from there, who they now take long time, they are telling us that even from us, we are big now. We've been go the way you are going now. We are produced the same age. If you fear, they are going to kill you.
Ma berka word kere dilung kwe peka ma berka karki iye pinga ki ma ke nya ka para rio mano kira tiri no be kutti ati wa gima wa kwando pa kana ki war kara wano peka ma duong peka mi rio pi wa berka ma to laji karma wa berka war chi wa war ikoni chon dogo wa tie ti bu Waro berga matulaja paga medi Sudan.
When I was 3 years, my mom tried to escape with me to come back, but unfortunately they captured her, and I was beaten nearly to death. And one of the commander said, it's better they kill all of us. And the hot panga was placed in the fire, very hot, heated one. That the color you really see is red. They itch with my head, and blood failed to come. I think it was, I could say, internal bleeding took place. And the blood failed to come. And that thing tortured my brain seriously. I started growing up with it. And sometimes I feel a lot of pain when there is a lot of sunshine. And when I was taken to the hospital, the medical personnel said I needed a further examination. But what they told me, I should be putting on cap and I should not be shaving my hair. And even when I was in school, I explained myself to the authority of the school that this is my condition, and if they could accept, But when I was in A-level, the school failed to understand me. And they turned that to harass me and to abuse what I have undergone. One of the teachers, I still remember what he told me. He said, "We are not the one who took you there. That is business. Yours, none of our business. And if you are having that pain, deal with it. What we want, follow the school rules and regulations." After producing all the medical documents, they failed to understand. And they turned that to harass me and to abuse what I have undergone. One of the teachers, I still remember what he told me. He said,
Well, those are some of the victims that have come through from the formerly abducted people. And joining us is MP Gulu Municipality, Mr. Komakech Leandro. Good morning.
Yes,
thank you for joining us. I'll first clear with Nancy. Nancy, you are watching some of the victims that have unfortunately been fallen victim with all these incidents and wars. And you have young girls, you have children that are forced into a space that they are not ready for. What have you done? Have you made any movement towards helping them?
So, first of all, like the start of my conversation, I was majorly focusing on social protection systems, but I'm also glad that you brought in the conversation about supporting formerly abducted women in this conversation, because first of all, that's an issue that has been part of my life for the last 10 or so years, partly as an actually myself, but also having worked in northern Uganda, in Gulu particular, with the Women's Advocacy Network and Justice and Reconciliation Project. So that has also been like part of my personal journey with the women and my professional journey. And I was just telling Honorable that in 2014, together with the formerly abducted women, we took the first phase of the petition, and I'm glad that it's building on into this conversation and it's continuing. And so just to say on what I earlier on said, that when humanitarian crises take place and we have wars and epidemics and what, women usually have to face a lot of challenges and burdens. And one of the issues that usually women face a lot is in regard to their sexual and reproductive health issues. And so, like we've heard from the video and from many of the narratives that have been coming up from northern Uganda, women have been faced with specific gendered violations, gynecological issues that need to address, and this needs to be given an urgent intervention and interim intervention, and this is not something that we can wait on forever. And so I'm glad that Honorable and the rest of the team are building onto this discussion of, you know, what can the government do. And as Reproductive Health Uganda, one of our roles has been to ensure that services reach out to all vulnerable and marginalized people in the community, especially in regard to supporting them to address these issues and the gendered violations that they go through, but also advocating for policies and programs that should be put in place to ensure that all intersectionalities or all women of all categories are supported. Like in this case, war-affected women, formerly abducted women, or women like the refugees, disabled women, to have specific government programs that address their specific gendered issues and to address their gendered violations that they have experienced.
Okay, thank you very much. She speaks of support from government, and Honorable, you led the petition, the motion urging government to support victims. Fortunately, for the areas surrounding Kampala and in Kampala, we have been fortunate not to have the incidents that have happened in the outskirts and extreme areas of the country, where we have had incidents of war. We have had, and of course, where there is war, there is always victims. And she speaks of support from government towards these victims. You led the petition. What was your initial feeling as you went into this?
Well, thank you, moderator, and my dear sister. Actually, my motivation for this has been driven by many experiences of the various categories of victims in this country, not only northern Uganda, because Uganda as a country has gone through multiple legacies of violence before independence to date. And the northern conflict was the climax of what we would see as overt conflict, where all categories suffered. And to date, government, ever since the Juba Peace Agreement ended, with the fundamental agenda items agreed upon, even if the final peace agreement was not signed. But I think it was fundamental that certain things were to be followed up, and government took over this process, and they went as far as I speak now. It is in cabinet on the issue of the transitional justice policy, that is to look around issues of accountability, reparation, traditional justice, and institutional reforms. But we cannot wait for that when the victims are dying. So the women, based on what my sister said in 2014, that petition came through. I was still working with Refugee Law Project as a senior researcher. And from that time, Parliament pronounced itself on 10 issues as regards the LRA situations in northern Uganda. So from 2014 to date, no concrete action was taken. I even raised this in the floor when I came to Parliament, this 10th Parliament. Nothing was done. So when these women, special categories of women, who were actually abducted and forceful wives of, I would call it wives, but in a sense really they were not, of LRA commanders, together with their children who were born in captivity, came with a petition as the chair of the Greater North Parliamentary Forum. I said this matter should go straight to the Speaker's desk, and we met the Deputy Speaker, who was that time in the House, and he said that the only thing you have to do is just turn around this into motion. So that's what I did, and I think I feel so grateful when we moved this motion, and supported by Tim Sandra from Oyam, a woman MP from Oyam, and then Bernard Atiku from Maivu, and the whole House, 100% by partisan debate and by partisan agreement that this must be done. So we have only picked the categories of women who suffered under the LRA in the north, together with the children born in captivity, as a first process of ensuring that government should take care of the rest of the victims who have as well undergone many sufferings.
Honorable, when you say take care, someone asks, what kind of take care are we looking at here? What care are you talking about? All right.
So when these women and other victims came back, of course many were coming through processes of amnesty and all that, and they were in reception centers. So we have a lot of data that indicates that when they were taken away to the villages, they were left there, nothing done to them. The children, they have struggled with them. If you watched on the footage there, you could see that young boy, you know, he was in university admitted, but now he's out of school. And many others actually have not gone anywhere. So we decided that we make 4 prayers in that motion. And the first prayer was that government identifies and profiles all these specific categories, the women affected and the children.
Have you made any progress?
Yeah, we have made. So far we have had 2 meetings, which is very progressive. The clerk to Parliament has extracted the details of this process so that government can swing in action. And the minister in charge of Northern Uganda Reconstruction, that is Honorable Grace Kuyuchi, is actually on top of this process. We have had consultative meeting on the ground in the north. So we are on course. What we expect from government is that we expedite the process of identification and making sure that they are profiled, because already there is data. The women are there, you know, so it is easy. And then secondly, we have also prayed that government restructures and redirects financing in such a way that it targets these specific categories, so that it is felt. Because many of the Northern Uganda reconstruction agenda has been very general, to the extent that those who are not even victims have over-benefited from the victim support funds that government, from that time of NUSAF to PRDP, you know, has been churning out. So for this one, we would like that the beneficiaries directly get this, so that the women, for those who are engaged on livelihood support, market vending, and all this, they are supported.
Okay.
For their children, we need these kids in school.
Okay.
And these kids must be supported through education, because in their testimonies, they say that since they have been abandoned, and there are many, the only alternative they are left with, if they can reorganize themselves, is to just go back to the bush, because that's where they were born. So these are sets of conflict triggers.
Okay.
That are dangerous. They are conflict indicators that are dangerous. We need to deal with them now, and that is why government must take a very bold step to do this. And then thirdly, we pray that this motion brings on board the support of cultural institutions. Traditional leaders should come on board to sensitize, because the issue of land rights, land use in the north has greatly affected those who came from the bush. The women are being chased away. That your children, we do not understand them. Your husband, we do not know them. So go away from where you came from. So they are just struggling with their kids on their own. And no proper land use is given, no proper land rights are accessible, because our traditional leaders are not being at the forefront. So this is the time we say, let our traditional leaders, like from Acholi Cultural Institution, our paramount chief, with the entire chiefs in Acholi, should come together and work with these women and children. And then lastly, we also pray that government should expedite the adoption of the transitional justice policy. That actually is at the core of ensuring that any matter pertaining to reparation is dealt with properly. And of course, we are happy, and I'm also happy. 2 days ago, I got information from the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs that actually what is now left is the process is almost done. The President has given a green light to this policy. And what is going to happen is that we may proceed with the two processes. When the adoption is done, as Parliament, we are going to proceed with a bill, a new bill, which we will be called the Transitional Justice Bill, that will actually now be supporting the policy that government is coming out with in April. And I think by May, we are done with the policy issues, and we start implementation. Victims are dying.
That's very key.
Yeah.
The policies are there. Let's implement
exactly
now, so that we can save these victims, and we can help them as fast as we can.
And this country has been bleeding for long.
Yes.
We need a national reconciliation that brings all Ugandans to begin afresh. Yesterday, in the Ash Wednesday, as members of Parliament, we prayed, and Archbishop Ugulu was the one that presided, and he said that our agenda this year is about personal reconciliation, community reconciliation, regional reconciliation, and national reconciliation. That's what Uganda should embrace. It is good for the country in terms of state building.
With so much vigor, that is the MP Gulu Municipality, Mr. Leandro Komakech. Thank you very much. Yeah. And we are praying that this policy, now that it has been passed, that it can be implemented and we can help these victims further. Unfortunately, because of time, we have to run out, but thank you very much, Nancy Apio, Gender Reproductive Health Uganda, and we pray that you step in as well and help, because many of these victims are women that are still suffering with incidents that they have been forced into, and hopefully they can get help from you as well. Morning at NTV continues today. On Reality of the Ground, we have been looking at supporting that is formerly abducted girls and children that have been born in captivity. How best can we help them? How best are they being helped? And the MP here, of course, tells us that the policies have been passed and now it's just them to be implemented. Morning at NTV continues.
Article 33 of the 1995 Uganda Constitution provides that the state shall provide the facilities and opportunities necessary to enhance the welfare of women to enable them to realize their full potential and advancement, that women shall have the right to equal treatment with men, and that right shall include equal opportunities in political, economic, and social